You're listening to Breakfast with Pablo.
ABC recently screened a controversial and eye-opening documentary, The Pedophile Hunter, showing the dark and disturbing side of online social grooming. Stinson Hunter has made it his mission to catch out predators online in the UK, and he does join us on the phone today. Stinson, good morning.
Good morning, mate. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Now, first up, the documentary, it's such a disturbing insight into what happens online, but I feel like it's the must-watch documentary of 2015.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was shown in England in 2014, the back end of 2014, and the reception it received was overwhelming. I mean, the press before it was incredible, and the response was incredible, and people actually got the message that I've been trying to say. And, you know, all credit to Dan Reed. He managed to take what I had in my head and put it onto film and make people sort of see how serious this issue actually is.
There's obviously been quite a lot of positive feedback since the doco's gone to air. Has there been any negative feedback?
Oh, I mean, yeah, there's always negativity, but it's usually people that either don't really understand it, or they're scared of what I'm doing and scared of what I'm saying, you know, or, you know, it's varying reasons. But normally I find it's people that they don't understand it, or they're scared of something. They can't understand it, so they're scared of it. And, you know, but I just take it on the chin and just sort of get on with it. You know, I've had abuse for the past 2 years or so it's kind of, I'm used to it now.
Stinson, were you ever worried about making a documentary about the online pedophile culture? Because now it could make it harder to catch these people?
Well, the thing is, this wasn't started to catch people. I had an idea. I realised that there was a problem online with people trying to take advantage of children. It was an experiment where me and a friend put her up as a 15-year-old girl, and it kind of escalated from there. The purpose of this is to get people talking, exactly what you and I are doing now. You know, I'm speaking to you and you're in Australia, and people are talking about the issue, the problem, and what's going on. And that's what this is about. It's not about catching them. I'm not the police. That's the police's job. You know, I'm here to highlight an issue, and hopefully the governments in every country in the world will start to look at this issue, because we've come into this digital age and we've been completely complacent about it. We thought the internet's safe, the internet's fine, it's all good. But it's not. You know, back in the day, we had stranger danger campaigns. You know, we've had nothing like that for the internet. And this is kind of what I've realised, and I've decided to highlight these issues, and hopefully that somebody with a bit of power and somebody with a pair of balls and somebody with brains will just be like, look, this guy's actually right. This guy's getting more convictions than the police in the UK. Right, so let's take what this guy's doing and work with what he's saying, and actually, you know, pay attention, because everything that I'm saying is right. Every time the police have criticised me, I've proven them wrong every single time, you know, and that's the important thing. The important thing here is this is about raising awareness. This is about getting people talking about a very, very serious issue, and, you know, and that's why I started this in 2009. 2015, it's gone global, and that's really important, and that makes me really proud. You know, I don't benefit from this. I don't get paid for doing this. You know, it's just something that I absolutely wholeheartedly believe in.
Now, you can still catch the documentary on ABC iView. For people out there that haven't seen the doco, let's break it down, Stinson. How did it come about, and what methods are you using to talk to these predators online?
So how this started, obviously, I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was asked for identification. That sent little triggers off in my head, and I was like, do you think people would believe that you're underage online? She said yes. So we set up a profile. This has been the common practice from that very first day until the day now when I'm, you know, still working. We set up a profile, fill it out normally. And then we don't put anything sexual, nothing to lead the person on in the profile, absolutely nothing. Just keep it really neutral. Then sit and wait. Imagine you're fishing. That's the only analogy I can think of this. You sit and wait for somebody to message you. Now, the first message you receive, that person hasn't done anything wrong. You then, once you got that message, you reply to that person and tell them you're actually an underage girl. or boy. It's not just girls, it's boys as well. We've caught men trying to meet boys. So we send that message, and then what happens next is obviously what their response is. So if they sort of, say, no, you're too young, then that's it. We sort of move on from it. But if they sort of show an interest and start talking, then we'll engage with that person. But we'll never encourage that person sexually. We'll never lead them on. It's just neutral conversations. All the conversations are published on my website, which is stinsonhunter.com. And then from that point, I'll look at everything, assess it, and I'm like, right then, this guy, we'll meet this guy. And then the guy will turn up at an address or a location. I'll appear with a camera and another guy filming, 2 guys filming and me. And I will then politely and calmly question the guy as to why he has been talking to this child in the way that he has, and why he has now turned up to meet this child after having the conversations that he's been having. And from that juncture, there's no hostilities. We don't detain the person. We're not legally allowed to do that. I invite the person to Google my name so they can see who I am, and that I am actually who I say I am. I'm not just somebody that's, out for malicious purposes. And then all the evidence is collated, handed into the police. Statements are made by myself, and well, it's just me now. Stubbs left and got a new guy called James. Statements are made, and then we attend court as and when required and give evidence. We've actually just had a conviction come in today. A jury just found a former solicitor guilty of attempting to meet a child under the age of 16 following grooming. So that's kind of how it happens. So yeah.
Now, you mentioned at the beginning you tell people exactly how old you are to make sure there's no entrapment. But what's the percentage of people that then stop the chat once they learn that they're speaking to an underage person?
Well, firstly, just to clear up, the entrapment thing isn't a thing. It doesn't exist in the UK really, unless you're an official body. So that's, the reason we say obviously the first message and they send the first message is because we don't want to lead that person on.
And as far as the people that then stop the conversation, what's the percentage like?
It's extremely low. The percentage of people that say, no, you're too young is very, very, very minimal. I will say for the past month or so I've been working, and probably out of 50 guys we've spoken to, I'm going to probably say, actually no, it weren't 50, it's about 30. 35 guys it was, sorry, I'm getting confused. 35 guys, and it was four guys turned around and said, you're too young. One guy didn't reply, so I'll take that as a no. So let's just say 5 out of that figure. It's really, really, really low. It's quite shocking at how low it actually is. Very,
very disturbing statistics. Now, some of the content that you get sent, and people can see this on the documentary, it's very, very graphic. Did it blow your mind that people would send that kind of vile content to someone underage?
Absolutely, mate. I mean, I started this as an experiment, and as people seen the doco that I've been in prison, so I've not lived, I've not had a sheltered life or anything. I've lived and I've heard some horrific stories, and going into doing this, I was quite, in a way, naive. I've been in prison with sex offenders. I've heard horror stories and things like that. But when you're actually faced with somebody committing an offence, somebody is there, that person is trying to have sex with a child, and, that person doesn't know that really it's a 33-year-old bloke behind the screen. Do you know what I mean? They're like, they think it's a 13-year-old, or one case, as you see in the documentary, an 11-year-old girl, and, I am quite desensitized to it, but sometimes I sit and I'll think about everything. And, there was a guy today convicted, former solicitor, and I think, why? Like, why? Why first are you talking to a child? Do you know what I mean? For a start off, why didn't you just say no straight away? But why have you carried on? And then why have you said these disgusting things and sent some filthy images and video footage? And then why have you turned up? Why? You're married. There's been married men turn up. I had a guy turn up once. I wasn't actually there to meet him. I made him take a selfie. He sent it me, and the police turned up and arrested him. But he turned up with his child with him. He turned up with his son with him, and his 4-year-old son, man. And that's just sick. Yeah. That was bad. And, I kind of wish that I'd been around in that area to have got a video with it, because I think that would have been really important to show that this is the depths that these people will go to. This person, this information's on my website, you can find it. This person openly admits in the messages that he was there, he was bringing his kid. Who goes to those depths to bring a young child to go and abuse another child? That's really messed up, and that gets me, I've got a little boy, and if, the thought of someone, taking my son on a as what this person thinks is a date with a 13-year-old girl, it blows my mind that someone is that sick in the head to do that,
Now, you put yourself in some really, really tough situations, meeting these people. You don't know them. Do you ever fear that it's ever going to go horribly wrong? It
did go horribly wrong. I got run over by one in 2013. I'm still suffering from it now. Broke both of my ankles. Big. That's why I forget things. I've got a big hole in the back of my head. My shoulders are ruined. I can't really feel my heels or my ankles and stuff. It's quite numb. That was in the documentary. That was pretty bad. But I was 2 weeks later, I was back out doing it again. So I just think I'm that driven, and I believe in what I'm doing, and I'm in a position now where I can carry on talking and getting people to listen and opening their eyes and checking the kids' iPads. Little known fact, Stubbsy, the guy that you don't see his face in the film, I don't know, the guys that helped me, I didn't know these from Adam. I never met these guys before. These are guys that were inspired by my work. Stubbsy in particular, his daughter was being groomed online. He only found this out after he watched a video of mine that was online. Nobody, that's a little known fact. It's not something that we really talk about. We mention it sometimes, but it's not like something that we'll really shout about. We keep things quiet as to why we're sort of, the other lads have kept it to themselves of why they got involved in this. Stubbsy's got his reasons, Grimes had his reasons, everybody was in it for the right and positive reasons. And, they were inspired by a video that they saw that was filmed in their hometown, and it opened their eyes. And but we're all parents, all three of us. Grimes, the youngest, he was 20 when he started, 21. And, it really inspired people, and that's the important thing. And it's not about, a few people go off at me and say I'm in it for the fame, I'm in it for the money and this, that and the other, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. I don't make a single penny from doing this. I have to pay money out, to sort of keep things going. I was funded a Kickstarter project, but, I bought all my new equipment and this, that and the other with everything, and it's just like that people, they don't realise how much stress this is and how much it costs financially, physically, mentally. And these guys stood by me and, through thick and thin, and they were inspired by something that they'd never seen before. This hadn't been done before. Yeah, you had to catch a predator in the USA, but that's a different kettle of fish. This was happening on people's streets. This was happening in people's neighbourhoods and in people's towns and things like that. And that's kind of why I chose to do it the way that I do. I get criticism for putting the videos online, but the videos are there to go online to get people to talk and to get attention. And I've kind of think I've got that now, and people are starting to listen, I think, and talking about a serious issue.
Now, you put the videos up online and on your Facebook where you have over 500,000 fans. It's obviously a very effective method. At the end of the doco, you get a letter from the police, and they're obviously not happy about your methods. Has there been any further fallout from the police?
No. Do you know, with the police, I think they've realised that every time they say something negative about me, I will come out and completely dispel that lie and make them look stupid. The facts are, the police have had a considerable amount less convictions due to their investigations as opposed to mine. My investigation that I've handed in have had more prosecutions than the police have had. They're embarrassed by the fact that somebody like me, a former criminal, a former junkie, that has gone out and successfully approached the subject and got people talking about it. They sent me that letter. They sent me that letter 1 month after David Simpson was convicted of trying to meet a child, but also 1 month after I caught a former chief constable of the police exposing himself to a 13-year-old girl. And then next, I started getting letters. So from then, they carried on shouting at me, and realised they were getting nowhere with me. They knew I weren't going to back down, and they were looking more and more stupid. So I think now they've backed off a little bit and thought, well, we can't beat him. We'll just leave him to it. Come May, they're going to try, and this is the thing that gets me. There's an issue online. I've highlighted a very serious issue, and our government in Britain are going to change the laws so I can't run around with a camera anymore and catch people, instead of actually focusing on the real issue. And that says a lot about the governments and whatnot that go, and that's worrying, and that's troubling. And if that's happening in my country, that could be happening in your country and every other country. And it's worrying that they will concentrate on stopping me and other people doing whatever they're doing with cameras. It's not just about catching sex offenders, they're actually stopping it for other stuff as well. If they're more focused on doing that, it's worrying. It's worrying that they'll stop something like this rather than try and stop the thing that I'm shouting about and trying to get to stop. So, and that's just concerning for me.
It's incredible work that you're doing, Stinson, and I want to know, is there any advice that you can give parents who have kids going online, and have you learned anything from your experience so far?
Yeah. The important thing is, if you don't let your kids go online at a really young age, and when they get into the teens, that's when I think, you can start letting your kids online. I won't be letting my son online until he's in his teens. Unless it's like educational stuff, and I'll obviously have a network set up, and it'll only be sort of things that he, educational things, anything else. The important thing is, you've got to monitor what your kids are doing. If your kids have got iPads and you're letting your kids have iMessage, then have the account on your iPad. You can have the email on there as well. You can get the messages come through, have access to their accounts. Kids shouldn't be on Facebook for a start. That's just dangerous. That's just a tragedy waiting to happen. Children being allowed on Facebook or Instagram and things like that. Children shouldn't be on there. Children should be outside playing. Children should be out there having fun. And that's what parents need to do. Parents need to start checking what the kids are doing. And if the kid starts acting funny, if the kid is secretive with the phone, the parent shouldn't worry about what that kid's going to do. And if they're going to upset the kid, take that phone off them. Have a look at that phone. And if there's anything going on there, a lot of people come over to my Facebook page, which is where I host all the videos. All my content goes on the Facebook page on my website. And people come over there onto my Facebook page, and they're like, oh, I've got this information. Somebody's doing this to my kid. Why are you talking to me? Why? Why are you not going to the police? That gets my back up when people come straight to me. It's like, no, why? Go to the police. They're the most important people you should be going to right now. So if you think your child's being abused, if you think someone's speaking to your child inappropriately, call the police. Get onto the police. And if they don't listen to you, march down to the police station and don't move until they look at what's happening. But police will turn around and say it. They do it in England. Oh, we're not the Facebook police. We're not this. We're not that. A crime is being committed, and the person that's committing that crime needs to be held accountable. And if there is things happening to your child, or you suspect something's happening, please don't come over to the page and say it, because you're shouting about it in public, and that's, you don't want to be sharing that information with people, and that's what people forget. But also, primarily, I'm not the police. I'm just like you and everybody else. I'm just a normal guy that just does something a little bit different. I've got no powers at all to investigate something that I haven't started. I can't do that legally. The police have to do that, and that's it really. It's just having a bit of common sense, watching what your kid's doing. If you think there's a problem, report it, and that's it really.
The Pedophile Hunter, the must-watch documentary of 2015. More info, you can visit stinson-hunter.com or facebook.com/Stinson Hunter Official. Thanks so much for taking your time out today. I know it's always hard bridging the gap between England and Australia, but we really appreciate it, and keep up the great work.
Cheers, thank you. It's an absolute pleasure, mate.
Classic Gold, today's hits, Spirit.